for Arfield. What a volley! Scott Arfield! He's been threatening that recently. And all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end. Oh, what a goal! What a goal from Robbie Blake! Burnley's first goal in the Premier League is something very, very special.
Wade Elliott gets that change of pace and he's got away from Montgomery into the path of McCann and the follow-up finds the net. What a strike from Wade Elliott! A bolt from the claret and blue.
Oh goodness me! What a goal from Patterson! If that is to be the one that takes them to Wembley, you cannot argue with that. Pure quality.
Here goes Mike Conroy. Still time for a winner, maybe. John Francis! They came to York in their thousands. They're going home as champions.
I mean, if there's any justice in the world, Burnley would surely score from this corner. Swung right in there. Ball in there. Yeah! Michael Cullen! Oh, that's justice! That is justice at the Amex Stadium. Burnley are level and deserve to be.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Turfcast. You'll recognise our guest, he's been on before. It's Sven van Londersele from the HNL newspaper in Belgium. How you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. You're fine as well?
Yes, I'm very warm. I'm British, so I'm going to talk to you about the weather. I am very warm. It's 40 degrees outside. My doors just open by itself. It's ridiculous.
Here in Belgium, it's very warm as well.
Yeah, I think it's a Europe-wide thing, isn't it? But we can't cope. We cannot cope with it. I think you boys are a bit more used to stuff like this, but yeah, we're struggling. We're struggling. My computer, obviously you'll be aware of this, but my computer overheated as I was about to start the show earlier. It's never done that ever. It's ridiculous. It shows how hot it is here. But of course, you're the Anderlecht reporter for HNL. We have just signed, I say just, it's about a week ago now. I still can't keep up with these transfers. We've signed Josh Cullen from Anderlecht. Your first thoughts on the deal? Do you think it's going to be a good deal for Burnley and a good deal for Anderlecht?
Well, first of all, it's a good deal for Anderlecht. Anderlecht signed Josh Cullen 2 years ago. They bought him for 500k from West Ham. So now they're selling him for at least 3 million to Burnley. So that's a huge deal for Anderlecht with a lot of profit. But then again, for his football qualities, I think it's a good deal for Burnley as well, because he knows, of course, Vincent Kompany played 2 seasons under Vincent Kompany at Anderlecht. So yeah, I think it's a great deal for both teams.
Do you think it's a good deal for Cullen himself as well? Obviously, he'll want to come back to play in the Premier League and stuff like that. Of course, he came through the ranks, I think, at West Ham. Do you think it's a good deal for him as well? He can showcase his talent in the Championship and maybe get back into the Premier League with Burnley?
Yeah, I mean, he has already played in England. He knows what English football is like. So I think it's good for him, yes. He has the level to play in a Premier League side, and I think if Burnley has the ambition to promote again to the Premier League, I can't say if it will happen or not, but yeah, I think it's a good match for him, because he already knows the playing style of Vincent Kompany, of course, and he can be maybe sort of a leader in the dressing room. Because he already knows what almost the entire staff and the way of playing the style of Vincent Kompany. So I think it's great for both Burnley and Cullen himself.
Yeah, where does he fit into into Vincent Kompany's system then? Because obviously Cullen is a central midfielder. From what I've seen, some reports and articles about the way that Cullen and Kompany play, Cullen tends to play quite deep in the midfield and drop into the defence sometimes. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's for sure. Like I already said in the previous podcast, Company liked to play in a 4-2-2-2, so
Yeah.
a variant of the 4-4-2. And Cullen was one of the two central midfielders who tended to go in defense when Anderlecht had ball possession. So he became the third defender then, and the wingbacks, Murillo and Sergio Gomez, they could go into the attack. So Cullen, I would say he's a gray player, but he was a crucial part of company system. He had 2 or 3 players that played almost every game during the entire season, and Josh Cullen was one of them. I would say he was one of the first players he wrote on the match form. So he has huge trust in Josh Cullen, who isn't the most attractive player, like I said. But he does a lot of work for the team, and that's what company appreciate a lot in Josh Cullen. And also his leader role, because Cullen was also part of the players board of Anderlecht last season. So there were 4 or 5 players in there who came up for the players, and they had to discuss something sometimes with the board, and Josh Cullen was one of them. So
it sounds promising. It sounds promising. Then obviously, I am aware of how he will be off the pitch in helping the players that have been at Burnley for a while and the new players integrate into company's system. Do you think that's a very important part of why we signed him? Because he can help your Jack Corks and your Westwoods sort of like embed into company's system.
Yeah, I think it's really important because you see company wants to surround himself with people he can trust. The entire staff, almost the entire staff, has worked with him in Anderlecht. So it's logic that he wants also some players on his field that he already knows, that he has full trust in, that he believes in. And Josh Cullen was one of that players in Anderlecht. So it's really logic, and on and off the pitch, I think it will be a good transfer for Burnley, Josh Cullen.
Yeah, I think he can be one of the best midfielders in the league personally. I'm excited to see him. He's probably at the minute, the most exciting transfer that we've made for me. If we bring in Delap, that might change, but that's a different debate. What sort of midfielder is he then? You've mentioned he does a lot of work. He seems to me like he's a very similar to Jack Cork. I don't know how much you know of Jack Cork, but what type of sort of like midfielder is he? Is he one that will stay deep? Is he one that get the ball and run with the ball? Is he box to box? What sort of thing does he do?
Yeah, he's a pure 6, I would say. When they played with 2 central midfielder, he was the one who did most of the defensive work, while the other, so it was Christopher Olsen or Marco Cana or Majita Shimeru, tended to play in a more offensive way. So Cullen was the one who held the organization on the midfield, tended to go back in defense. So he's a pure 6, a more defensive player. Cullen didn't tribute that much in attacks, and the best proof is that he only scored 1 goal during his period in Anderlecht at the end of last season in the playoffs. So Cullen, I think he will be in the championship as well. Not the most attractive player to see, but I think he will be if he is on the pitch, I think he will be a crucial player for the company system, like he was in Anderlecht.
Yeah, fair enough. He's still relatively young as well, I think. Just off the top of my head, 26. I've got his Wikipedia page up there. I didn't just remember it, everybody. I did have a quick check, which is still relatively. It's not young in footballer terms, really speaking about it. But he's obviously going to have ambitions of playing in the Premier League and things like that. Do you think he's good enough to play in the Premier League? Because I've seen a few West Ham fans and a few Tottenham fans as well, because Tottenham were reported to be interested in him at one point. I don't know how true that was, but mainly West Ham fans sort of like saying, "Oh, it's a really, really good buy for Burnley. He should be in the Premier League." Do you think he's good enough to be in the Premier League?
I think after a while in the Championship with Burnley, he has the qualities to play in the Premier League. Of course, I think so. after his transfer, after his move from West Ham to Anderlecht. In England there were some voices who said, yeah, he isn't good enough for the Premier League, and he didn't play, in fact, that much for West Ham. He was on loan at Charlton, I guess.
Yeah, Bradford
So,
as well. I remember Bradford as well.
There were a lot of doubts about Josh Cullen, but I think Cullen proved most of them wrong in the last 2 seasons in Anderlecht. Like I said, he was not a spectacular player, but a loyal player who you can rely on. That is that you can give some trust, some responsibilities. So he proved them all wrong, and the best proof is that he became an Irish international as well again.
Exactly, yeah.
Now in Ireland they love Josh Cullen, so I think he can be of great value to Burnley as well. And then after some time, he can get back to the Premier League if it is with Burnley, whether with Burnley or whether with another team, I don't know. But I think in the end, Josh Cullen will have the qualities to play in the Premier League. Not for the biggest side, of course, but
fair enough. Fingers crossed it's with Burnley though, and we can push on with Cullen and under company. What's his passing like? Because you would suspect a player in that sort of system who stays deep, probably one of the two in the 4-2-2-2, like you said, one of the first two, I presume, is one of them in there. It would make sense thinking about it that him and Jack Cork were playing them positions just in front of the defence. So in my head, when these sort of players are playing in these systems, they're breaking the player down, they're getting the ball and they're passing it out. So I presume his passing needs to be good. But what's his passing like?
Yeah, like you said, it's more or less like that with Josh Cullen. He breaks the attacks from the opponents, and then tends to pass it to a teammate who is going deep. Of course, with Anderlecht, Company, he likes the way of Pep Guardiola, of course, of playing. That's not always been possible at Anderlecht because they don't have the material for it. And the criticism was sometimes in Anderlecht they passed the ball too much in the team without being dangerous. So that might be the case as well with Burnley. So the passing, so doing some passes, keeping the ball in the teams, but not being very dangerous, I would say. That's not. Cullen is not the type of midfielder who is going to give a lot of key passes. I can imagine. I think it wasn't that. It wasn't like that in Anderlecht. So like I said, a pure defensive midfielder who holds the organization and tends to go back in defense. But in that way, a crucial. He was a crucial player for Company in Anderlecht, and I can imagine he will be in Burnley as well.
Yeah, fingers crossed. You say he doesn't make too many key passes. I presume that was normally a case of at Anderlecht because other midfielders were doing that sort of job. Obviously,
they had to do it.
Down.
They didn't do it, all of them, but it was their job.
Least. Exactly. Yeah, fingers crossed. Somebody like Bastien will come in Burnley and he'll be able to do that job. Or Brownhill, of course.
I think it can be a good.
Well in that position.
I think it can be a good fit, maybe with Samuel Bastien, who is more like an 8 player. So maybe there will be a match on the midfield for
it seems to me, looking at the system and looking at the players we're getting, it's going to be your 4 defenders, obviously a keeper, 4 defenders, then Cullen and Jack Cork, then Josh Brownhill and Samuel Bastien, and then maybe somebody like Twine and Dwight McNeil. Dwight McNeil might as well play in the Bastien role as well, but we'll see how Dwight does, because Dwight, there was a debate on the Burnley channels last year about maybe Dwight should be more central, but Dwight's always seemed to play wide. Now I'm just going to skew off a little bit because there's been reports, and obviously you're the Anderlecht reporter, so I'd be silly not to ask you this question. There's been reports that Burnley are keen on young Anderlecht keeper Bart Verbruggen. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. What do you know about that?
Well, as I heard, as we heard, as we follow Anderlecht with 2 persons, of course. It could happen, I would say. I'm not saying it will happen like with Muleka last time. That didn't end very well. But it could happen. Burnley is really, really interested in Bart Verbruggen. of course, it's not a surprise that company wants him again with him. So yeah, it could happen. The odds are in the favor of Burnley, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a few reports over here that he might be struggling with a work permit issue. Do you know anything about that, or?
No, but it's more common, I would say, in England. A company had some issues with the work permit. Other players already had some issues with it that caused a delay in the transfer. So I wouldn't be too worried about it.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Is he one of them sort of, because he's only played around 6 senior games, I think it is. It seems to me that's a lot of inexperience for somebody to come in and being our number one goalkeeper. So I would presume he wouldn't be number one. But I know it's Dutch, I believe, isn't it? In Holland, they think really, really highly of him and think he can be like one of the best keepers around. How far do you think he can go?
Yeah, it's true. Bart Verbruggen is a huge talented goalkeeper, and maybe company will get him to make him the first keeper, because now in Anderlecht, he has been the second goalkeeper for some season, 2 or 3 seasons, behind Hendrik van Krombrugge, and the expectations were that Van Krombrugge, the first keeper, would leave this summer because PSV in Holland, they really wanted Van Krombrugge, but in the end they chose another one, the goalkeeper of Nice. So Van Krombrugge, for now, he stays in Anderlecht, and the expectation is he will stay in Anderlecht. So yeah, I can imagine Verbrugge is a huge talented goalkeeper who only played 7 senior games. He played during the playoffs of not past season but season before. He played the 6 games of the playoffs, so the 6 most important games in Belgium. And then this season, he came in. He played 1 game also in the playoffs because Van Krombrugge had an injury. But yeah, Anderlecht believes. Has a huge belief in the potential of Bart Verbruggen, but if they can sell him for more than 5 million or 6 million euros, they won't doubt about it.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be an expensive deal though for somebody who's only played 7 senior games. 7 million euros. It sounds like a lot of money to me for a very inexperienced goalkeeper. So that goes to show how much potential people think this young lad has.
Sorry?
But 7 million. I'm saying it's one of them, like for 7 million euros, that sounds a lot of money for me to somebody who's only played 7 senior games. But that just goes to show how good his potential is.
Yeah, that could show his potential is huge. It's always dangerous to say how far he will go, of course, in his career. But Verbruggen has the potential, and he also knows company believes in him. It's company who got him to Anderlecht. He came with the same goalkeeper coach to Anderlecht, Jelle ten Rouwelaar, who is now in Burnley. So yeah, that's an environment Verbruggen knows, and he knows that the staff believes in him. And my thoughts are that maybe he can be the first goalkeeper of Burnley coming season. So that's all together with Van Krombrugge probably not leaving Anderlecht. That can be, a decision maker for Verbrugge, and Anderlecht getting a very nice transfer fee. I think all parties will be happy with this transfer then.
Yeah, like I say, it does sound a little expensive, but the kid's obviously got a lot of potential in it, and it's one that I kind of want us to get done, whether he's number one this season or not. But Sven, obviously, we're just coming up to 20 minutes, so we'll start wrapping it up. Very, very much. I very appreciate you coming on the show again. It's obviously the second time. Potentially, we could be signing more people from Anderlecht, so you might see Sven again. But you just want to give more people, a chance to. Do you want to let everyone know where they can find you, where they can find you on Twitter, where they can find your work, that sort of thing?
Yeah. You can tag me in the tweet like you did last time. Then they will find me.
Yeah. So if you're listening on the podcast or you're watching, in fact, on YouTube as well, I'll put it in the comments down below. I'll put it in the description, should I say, and on the podcast. If you just want to go over to twitter.com/turfcast, you'll find Sven's handle there. But thanks so much for coming on, Sven. I'm going to go and sunbathe.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much.